Hello, my name is Chris Durand, and I'm here today to talk to you about a persuasive speech. And my subject is working for union positions, the pro and benefits of a union work in the United States today. First of all, I'm 45 years old, work for NBC Universal, which is a union position. I am a gang boss in union position. I enjoy it very much, so I see the pro and benefit side of union work every day. In my opinion, it's really good, and I was going to talk today about things that I see are good, but there's obviously some cons. There's pros and cons in anything, and there are some negatives for sure, for sure. But let me start with how I began. First of all, when I was about 16 years old, I got a job at Hughes Supermarkets being a busboy. I was introduced to unions at that time, became part of the union, started paying dues, receiving health benefits. I was only part-time, so it didn't really show me the way of the benefits truly of a union job, but I did see the benefit of being paid more than my friends did at that age. At 16 years old, I was making, I believe, $10 an hour, and most kids were making back then in the 80s, it was about $3 or $4, if that. So it was good. I was really happy to be there. Had to pay little union dues. Wasn't working full time, so I didn't really enjoy the full benefits of the union pay. But it opened up my eyes to how the union work could be good. And I saw how gentlemen who worked, and ladies who worked in management, not management, sorry, because they weren't union, but meat department produce, on how at the time it was actually a really good career. People could be homeowners and make a good living off the union position at a supermarket. So at that point, worked there for a couple years, and then had a few other jobs until about, I would say, 1992, about 21, 22 years old. I was able to obtain a job at Warner Brothers Studios in Burbank. This job really opened up my eyes to the benefits of a union position. I was paid $28.44 an hour, and at the time, 21 years old in 1992, I thought I was set for life. I mean, life has hiccups, and it didn't turn out that way, but at the time it was great. Worked there for a couple years. I joined the IATSE 695, which was my first experience with joining the full-blown union, going to meetings, paying big dues, and dues at the time you don't understand what's going on, but you realize that the dues are important because they're paying for other people that have been in the union for many years. It helps with their retirement pension, so I'll get into that a little bit later, but paying the dues is part of it, and it gets you your good wage, and it gets you representation, and it's part of the deal. So I didn't mind it. And at that point, I got to experience full-blown healthcare for the first time, which was really good. I was able to get Kaiser back then, and it was really good. Working for Warner Brothers, union position was really good, and it was a great experience. Unfortunately, it didn't last forever. I thought it would. At that point in life, you really think you're going to be set, and it didn't. It lasted about 4 or 5 years, but I did experience, to me, the pros of a union position. Now, some of the cons I did experience was they didn't always back me up in regards to looking for work, and because I was a lone wolf, so to say, at Warner Brothers. I was the only union guy on that stage. There was other union workers, but I was the only union sound guy. So my union didn't really, for whatever reason, they didn't back me up once I lost that position. They didn't help me on any level of finding a job, which they said they would, and you still have to keep paying dues. So for about another year or two, I paid dues, which is expensive, and I wasn't able to find work in that industry. So that was one of the cons of, so to say, of union work. So after that, I worked at a few other union positions, and again, experiencing union work, and to me, mainly benefits, mainly pros of working a union job. Again, the good pay, the union representation, having people have your back, it's a really good benefit. So after that, I was out of the union industry, so to say, for a couple years, working as a loan officer. Wasn't able to obtain any sound jobs. And then I was able to, a couple years later, get a job for Universal Studios, and now I'm at NBC Universal, and that is union as well. So I'm now in the IBW 40, which is the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 40, part of the electricians union, but I'm a sound video technician. I pay roughly about $200 a month in union fees, which some people would find exorbitant, but again, I'm paid well. I have full-blown health care. I have retirement. So it's not the best, but it's good. I'm quite happy. I'm a gang boss at this point. So there are gang boss and their foreman. So at this point, I got an additional $2 an hour raise because of being a gang boss. So very happy about that. Another pro of the union in my eyes is that there's pay scale, so you know where you're gonna go. You see the future. You see potential of what you can earn in the future if you do things right. So that in itself is really good and really worth it. So it also showed me at NBC Universal how in times of need you need to be represented by the union. We had a situation where we had two veteran gentlemen and two young newbies, and we work at Universal Studios, so they were going to City Walk, and they were having a couple beers on the clock, which is obviously not, it was wrong. You shouldn't do that, period. These guys evidently did it for a couple times, and somebody from HR noticed. They noticed the gentleman do it a few times. Well, when you walk out of Universal Studios, you swipe. Everything's recorded because it's, I don't know if that has to be union, it's just corporate. Everything's documented. No matter where you go, what you do, you swipe or you're on film. And you got to realize that. And don't do anything wrong, don't do anything dumb. But these guys were going and having beers, made dumb decisions. And they were reprimanded, they were suspended, and they were going to be potentially fired. The union backed them up, came in, set up representation. They had like this mini trial, so to say, not like a trial, but it was a hearing, and NBC was able to, HR was able to present their side of the story, which HR said they were stealing because they were on the clock and they were going to the restaurant drinking, which is true. You're stealing, you're not doing your work. So I have to side with them, but you know, being a union member, sometimes you got to keep your mouth shut because you don't want to go against the grain. So anyway, they represented these guys. Turns out the two veteran guys were laid off, weren't able to keep their job because the HR department said you well knew and were well aware what you were doing was negative and was not within the rules. So these guys didn't get their jobs back. Surprisingly, the two newbies did get their jobs back due to union representation, and the union basically saying these guys kind of followed the lead of the veteran guys, and they made a bad decision, but they were following foreman's lead, so to say. I don't know how, but they got away with it, and the two guys still are employed at Universal. Good guys. They made a bad choice, a very bad choice. So a lot of times people will say that's one of the cons of a union position, is that people get lazy and caught up, and like the two older guys did. And it doesn't matter age. It happened. You see it with young guys. You see guys watching YouTube, their whole 8-hour shift. You see guys that don't work because they know the union has their back, again, which is good, but in some situations they're backing them for guys being lazy, and it really burns a lot of the management. I can see that at NBC Universal. They wouldn't probably be minded at all if the union was gone, I'll be honest with you. Hope it never happens, because it affords me great benefits and privileges with money and health benefits and retirement. But I could see the company, Comcast, the mothership, really hoping to dissolve us in the future. We have a contract talk in the next year, and it's going to be tough with all the unions going against us because we're supposedly Comcast's last union property. But again, I'm pro-union. I see the benefits of it, the brotherhood. It's been good to me. So anyway, these guys were able to keep their jobs, and they are still working for us, still working at Universal. Again, the two older gentlemen did lose their jobs. And other than that, I mean, Universal has been really good to me. And just some more pros of the health of the union work and membership. 93% of union workers are entitled to health care, as opposed to 69% of non-union workers in the regular world. So much higher percentage of workers who are union receive full health care. Also, union workers had 89% of their premiums handled or paid by their insurance, while the average, according to Bureau of Labor Statistics, said at 66 average for people in the regular world working non-union positions. Also, 93% of union workers have access to retirement benefits, and the same Bureau of Labor Statistics stated that 64% of non-union workers do. So the retirement benefits, in my eyes, are really good. Again, I'm paying every month into two separate things. There's a 401 and there's this other secondary pension thing they came out with that was negotiated in the last contract. We lost some overnight pay because Another one of the benefits of being in the union is the guys that work night shift get extra pay for working after midnight until 6 in the morning. So if you happen to be a graveyard worker, you get paid extra for that. But unfortunately, in our last contract, they voted away with that and they gave us more for retirement. So it's a give and take. But a lot of the other unions were not happy with this because they say once you give up the night premium, as they call it, you'll never get it back. The companies will never give it back to you. So we'll find out in our next contract negotiations, which is a year away. But it doesn't sound like we're going to get that back. But again, we got higher retirement because of giving it up. So that is one of the pros. Again, that's why I am pro-union, and that's why my speech is persuading people to look for union positions. I feel that unions have your back for the most part. I'm sure there's going to be negative stories, and a lot of the articles that I referenced in regards to statistics and such, there was people that had negative experiences with unions in regards to seeing lazy people and people that were going up the chain that shouldn't have been. And that unfortunately, no system's perfect. Nothing's perfect. So it's going to happen. And just also, I really do enjoy working a union position. And as a gang boss, I'm paid well. I could hopefully next become a foreman in the next few years. Again, the union will benefit me. The only thing that's wishy-washy, I think, is the backup sometimes they have for you. It's not always there, but nothing's perfect. It's not a perfect world. But I do believe, hand in hand, people that do work union positions, I see it all the time, friends, coworkers, neighbors, they have homes, happy lives. Nobody's rich, but everybody's living a nice, happy, middle-class life, which is, pretty much what you can ask for today in America. So very happy with union and wish all the people the best and look at union opportunities. Thank you so much.